people know that we have started. This is the 4 M's of, just trying to see, of self-mastery. So please invite somebody else. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. So tonight I've got somebody who is actually a PTB member, certified PTB member. She's a known face around here, and this is not her first time, but I particularly, love the way she delivers. I love her mindset. I love the way she thinks. And tonight we're going to meet with Tokwe Shongonuga, who lives fully intentionally so that she can leave a positive legacy, but also die empty. And if you're very close to her, you're going to hear this phrase over and over and over and over again. All we do, all we say or think, who we are, and how we show up or act comes from our mind, and how and upon what it is set. It's all in the mind. It's all about your mindset. It's interesting because I think it was on Monday. Yes, it was on Monday. I had a friend come by the house, and we're just talking about various things. Must have stayed outside for almost 3 hours, just chatting about things. And one of the things she said, which blew my mind, and this also obviously stems up from what, the mind. The mind is a very powerful tool, where she thought, because of this in her mind, she always says that these things would happen because of the way our mind was wired. And I don't want to go into details, but what happened was, guess what? That thing actually happened because our mind has been fixated that if this happens, this is what is going to happen. Meanwhile, my friend on the other side was saying to her, no, it didn't happen because it would happen. It happened because your mind has been fixated that it would happen. So guess what? Okay, so roll back a few months later, somebody else who did not think the same way actually did the same thing, and it didn't happen. And you can see how sometimes our mind, and it's important because, even as Christians, this is so key that we understand that your mind is a very, very powerful tool. So, who is Tokwe Shongonuga? She's a mindset transformational coach. She's a social reformer and founder of the Mindset Makeover Mission and the Seeing Heart Foundation. And obviously, I know the Seeing Heart Foundation is a foundation where, she's helping the less privileged, to help them in, should I say, in the tripart parts of their life, not just in their education, but in everything that they do, regardless of their social economic status. So she is here tonight, and I want to say thank you, because your help is so instrumental in equipping us tonight, in empowering our minds and the way we think, in also how women can be confident, goal driven leaders, and us having an intentional mindset in whatever we do. And as we do it intentionally, we start to see our lives literally being transformed. If you can, I always say, if you can think it, it can be done. If you can see it, it can be done. If you don't see it, it means that it cannot be done. But you know what? The tool is in your hands. If you see something, it means that there may be obstacles. I'm not saying there's not going to be obstacles, but guess what? If you try so much and push yourself, it will be done. So tonight, without much further ado, I'm just going to bring her on the platform, and please show her some love. Like I said, she's part of us anyway, but please do show her some love, show her some hearts. Thank you, sis. I appreciate you always. Thank you. And yes, you
Thank
can
you.
take over.
Thank
Thank you.
you very much. Thank you, sis. Always nice. This is home, as we just alluded to. Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on what time zone. It could even be good morning. But so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having me again, sis, to come and share with us. And I'm going to start by saying I'm a case study for this topic, or for most of the topics we cover. So please don't think, oh, she's living that way. No, I am a work in progress myself. It's just that I love to share, as she mentioned earlier, my life motto, if you like, the main one is live full, die empty. So in order to die empty, I've got to make sure that I pour every blessing that I have in every way that I can share. I'm going to continue to do that. So thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen now, sis, if that's okay. May I? All right, thank you. Okay, so here we go. Well, this topic, I hope is resonant with you as it is with me, okay? Because once we can master ourselves, that it puts us on the path to an intentional and powerful life. Absolutely. Because when you're able to self-direct your life, you're able to self-manage, the world really is your oyster. So I'm hoping that the next 80, 90 minutes that we're going to be spending together will be a very fruitful one in your life. And I'm expecting that you're not just going to show up and just be part of the number, and then you go away and then you forget everything we've discussed today. I really hope you can take away stuff. So this 3-step goal, I should say, is what I have in mind for you. The first being clarity. I hope you'll be able to gain some clarity on where your power sits. You see, we tend to think that, we can be influenced by external factors. It's the state of the economy, the global economy, and, my local election results, and my work or business situation, or my family situation, or my relationships. Whereas, honestly, where your power really sits is within yourself. So once you understand where that power is, then intentionality will bring you closer to being able to use your agency, because each one of us absolutely has agency. Okay, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to get some clarity on where your power really lies and how to leverage it. And then the next step is, the next goal, 3-part, I should say. So the second part is awareness. Again, awareness of what those hidden patterns are that you're not mindful of, but they're actually controlling your life. Whether you accept it or not, whether you even realize it or not, they're controlling your life. So I'm hopeful that at the end of this session, our time together this evening, you'll be able to gain awareness, self-awareness, even more self-awareness of what patterns are hidden, what habits you have that may be where you may be self-limiting, where you may even be self-sabotaging, or where you've already self-abandoned and you didn't realize it. Okay, so that's the second part of tonight's mission, if you like, your takeaway, basically. And finally, I really would like that you don't just leave with some information. You know how they say knowledge is power? I challenge that and I say, well, no, not really. Knowledge is indeed data, yeah? But where the power truly lies is when you convert knowledge into wisdom by applying it. Until you've applied knowledge, it really isn't powerful, because everybody has knowledge. Like we listen to the news, we go to seminars, we take away knowledge. But once we don't apply it, okay, then it's not useful to you. It's like you put something on the shelf, it doesn't get used, the books are there, or you buy something for the house, you don't even know you have it there, and then you're going around borrowing from someone. There's no power in that. So essentially, I'm hopeful that you will identify by the end of this session one practical shift that you can immediately apply to any facet of your life. Any facet of your life. I'm expecting that there will be like some high priority ones that will immediately resonate with you, and you'll be like, you know what, I need to get out of my own way in this area of my life. And as such, from now, don't even have to wait till tomorrow. From now, what can I do? Even if it's for you to grab your notepad and begin to write down thoughts, you've got to take away something that will ginger you to identify that area of your life where you can make a practical shift from tonight. Okay, so that's the third part. So please have your notepad ready, take screenshots, and honestly, don't just come here to add to the number. Be here, be present for yourself. Okay, so first things first, let's define what the concept of self-mastery is, or even the word. So it's that practice of you being able to control your thoughts. We say the garden, the mind is a garden, really, if you let it be overrun by weed, then you're just going to be in a mess. You know, chaos will be the status quo for you. So self-mastery is how you practice the control of those thoughts. You don't let them run wild. You don't let your thoughts lead you in the wrong direction to where you really would like to go. You don't let your emotions rule you either, or your actions. So ultimately, it's the premise for foundation for liberty, for liberation even. And according to Leonardo da Vinci, you will never have a greater or lesser dominion than that over yourself. The height of a man's success is gauged by his self-mastery. And conversely, the depth of his failure by his self-abandonment. He who cannot establish dominion over himself will have no dominion over others. Fact. Okay? Don't even bother to think, oh, well, I'm a manager, I'm a director, I'm this, I'm that. Honestly, you may be making good money, but if you can't master yourself, your life, you're self-sabotaging without you even realizing it, is what Leonardo is teaching us in that quote. So what is self-mastery and what is it not? Because, you know, if we're not careful, we may mix it up, we may conflate it with other things. Self-mastery is absolutely self-awareness. It's about you being aware enough of your lives, of your habits, of the patterns that they've woven into your way of life, that if you're either knowledgeable enough to identify that, this is a trigger for me. This is where I self-sabotage usually. Oh, procrastination. That's coming. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. So let me deal with it now. So it's how self-aware you are, and that's how you self-direct. Yeah. The more self-aware you are, the more you're able to self-direct, the more you're able to self-regulate your life. Self-mastery is absolutely not perfection. We're not asking for, but there is no perfection on this side of heaven anyway. Okay, it's not that, oh, you're perfect in all your way. That's why I said at the start that I'm a work in progress. I'm a case study for all of this. Okay, I call myself to order. I talk to myself. Yeah, why not? I think I'm old enough to talk to myself. And I think, well, my mom's not around. And even if she were, she might tell me stuff and I will just ignore her. But guess what? I talk to myself because I know I better listen to myself. I may ignore my mom, but I better not ignore myself because I'm going to be dealing with the repercussions. So it is not about perfection. That's not self-mastery. Self-mastery is not that, oh, I'm expected to be perfect in all my doings, in all my ways. I'm the best person in the room. I'm the best friend or the best wife or the best mother. No, it's just that you know what your weaknesses are, and you're learning to convert them into strengths gradually by being self-aware. That's an example of non-perfection. Self-mastery is about intentional decision-making. Yeah, it's how you make decisions, whether or not they come out the way you expect them, they give you the results you're looking for. That's not what matters now. What matters is that you're intentional about it, you know. So for example, you need to make a decision and you sat down like you would at work, right? You've looked at the pros and cons. You know where this decision is going to lead you. You've got options. You've analyzed them. And some might say, oh, well, she's in the project management field. Well, no, actually, I'm wired like that. I'm organized enough to try to stop myself and think about the pros and cons so that I know that whatever I get at the end, I'm going to own the consequence. I'm going to have to own the errors or the omissions of whatever it is. So it's been intentional that I know why I have data. In the world we live in now, big organizations, small organizations, medium organizations are running based on data. They're running their business based on data. So why can't I run my life based on data? And this data is data that's available to me. It's data that I have generated in my day-to-day life, right? So look at that, make your decisions and know where they're going to lead you and be ready. So I would tell my nephews, and my daughter that always think to the end. Go first to the end of that thing. Where is this going to lead me? And then work your way backwards and think, am I going to accept the consequence? Do I like the consequence? Will I enjoy the consequence? If the answer is no, then you better rethink and go to option B or C or D. Okay, so it's about being intentional with your decision making. It's not about controlling everything. Nobody's talking about control. And at the end of the day, whatever you have control over, you go ahead and do it. Whatever you don't have control over, let it go. Let go and let God. I'm a Christian, I can say that. just let it go. If you can influence it, if it's within your control, go ahead and do what you can do and face the consequences. After all, life happens, right? So self-mastery is about emotional self-leadership. I've alluded to that a few times. It's where you are making sure that you're emotionally intelligent enough to know where you're leading yourself, okay? So you can't blame the government for how your life happens. You can't blame your partner for how your life happens. It's those are the kind of statements, self-talk. Like I'll say, oh, somebody made me, and this is, we're humans by default, we do that. If you're trying to do something and you get distracted, and then maybe you drop something on your foot, for example, you're like, oh, Sister Bumi made me drop on my foot. No, she didn't. No, you dropped it on your foot by being distracted. She may have distracted you. But our mind goes straight to, that's language. I'm going to come to that next. It's how we use language, right? And now you think to yourself, but look at what you made me do. No, she was nowhere near you, right? But it's the way we talk. And that's about that emotional self-leadership. It's about being aware enough, being intelligent enough about what our emotions are telling us, right? What signals they're giving us, and leading and self-directing in a way that is congruent with the life that we desire or even aspire to. It is not about constant productivity, absolutely not. It's not about being busy, doing nothing, mostly being non-productive, but being busy. You spend, June is only 2 days away. Can we all account for how we've spent 2026? Perhaps, perhaps not. It's not, you may have been very productive, but have you actually, has that productivity borne good fruit that you can see that is leading you somewhere good? It is responsibility. I've alluded to that already. Or taking ownership. It's not about not struggling. It's not like, well, I've mastered myself so much that I don't struggle in every facet of my life. That is not true. That's self-deception. And finally, self-mastery is consistency. It's how you consistently show up for yourself. You know the life you've designed for yourself. Hopefully, you've designed a life for yourself. You're not waiting for life to be designed for you by other people's opinions. You've designed a life. You've got an action plan to live that life daily, right? It's not about suppressing your emotions. It's about being consistent. You have values. It's consistently showing up, representing yourself as you would, like to be represented. So on that note, I'm going to move to the visualization of the loop that this self-mastery concept is about. The 4 M's. Okay, it's a powerful loop because they're interconnected, and a slight change in one ripples through the loop. So your mouth is the first in the loop. I'm going clockwise now. What you say, how your words will either direct or misdirect you. Okay, your mood, how you manage your emotions. You don't let them influence you negatively. You actually you take ownership of your mood. You own them and you direct them to lead you aright. And money, okay? Yeah, your mood can influence how you manage your finances, absolutely. And finally, your mind, how you think. Your thoughts, they drive your beliefs and patterns. This is where mindset comes in. And of course, once your mind, the influence of your mind on your mouth, and then you keep going around, it's just a rinse and repeat situation. So if you shift your mindset around what you say, for example, you'll begin to see that you're more mindful of your mood and how you utilize the effect, the impact, the influence, how you leverage it. And that will also help you manage your money more effectively. And then you go around the cycle again. So the first lever in that loop is our mouth. Okay, so what you say, this is what you say actually, believe it or not, influences your life so powerfully, because our words, they're not just mere expressions. I'm speaking in the English language, okay? But what I'm saying now, of course, I'm communicating, I'm conveying something to you. Now, if I was speaking to myself, I could be instructing myself negatively. I could be telling myself, which I do often. I walk to the fridge to go and get. I tell myself, my mind tells me I must have dessert. Why? Why? I know I'm going to weigh myself in the morning. I wonder where that half kilo came from. It came from the dessert that I stuffed my face with. But because my mouth, my words to myself at that time is, it's time for dessert. It's an instruction and it's a commitment. And if I'm not mindful enough to stop myself in my tracks, I'm going to walk all the way to the fridge, get food that is not helpful to my body, and I'm going to stuff it in my body and then regret it later. So it's not just an expression. Our words are actual instructions. They're instructions to ourselves. Sometimes they're instructions to others. Okay? And they're commitments too. And that's why our language shapes what we tolerate. There's this, I tend to remind myself of this phrase that you teach people how to treat you. Your children included, your partners, people in your sphere of influence. You teach them how to treat you. If your words tolerate, if your words, don't worry, someone does something to you that really annoys you and you don't tell them, you just say, oh, no, don't worry, it was nothing, because you're trying to be nice. You're not setting boundaries. You're only going to be kicking yourself behind their back, So our words shape what we tolerate, our language. Our words communicate the standards and boundaries that we set for ourselves personally and that we set for others in our lives. And our language can either strengthen or weaken our confidence or position. So imagine if someone asks you to do something for them. You don't have the time, but you don't want to let them down. You choose to let yourself down by saying, oh, okay, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Now, you've given them a false hope, potentially. Maybe you've deceived them, even maybe you have no plan. Some people won't have any plan to do anything about it. They're just speaking the words. It means nothing because integrity means nothing to them. Some people, they plan to do it, but then they may have to deprioritize something in their own life to be able to keep that commitment. Okay, so our language can either strengthen or weaken our position. And of course, the way we speak equates to the way we see ourselves. If I look in the mirror and I wear whatever hair I like, hairstyle I like, hair type I like, because it's all mine, bought and paid for. Okay, it could be short today, it could be frizzy tomorrow. Someone once said to me, a white guy at work more than 15, 20 years ago, said, your hair was short last week and now it looks like you just put your hand in the socket and you've had an electric shock because of the style. And I'm like, thank you very much. It's mine, all bought and paid for. And that's it, because if I see myself, if I look in the mirror and I'm busy thinking about how people are going to perceive my look and I'm busy fixing it for other people for their delight, then I'm depriving myself of some liberty. So however I speak, so when I dress for myself, first and foremost. Honestly, I do. And if so, I prefer that one. It's kind of like, yeah, you go wear that one. This is what I'm wearing right now. And it's how you see yourself is based on how you speak to yourself, essentially, right? So that leads nicely onto why does our mouth matter in this powerful loop that is the premise for self-mastery. Why does our mouth matter? The language we repeat to ourselves, I can't do it. It's kind of like when people say, and I know that we all here, I'm sure, we speak English in this part of the world for sure, but sometimes we're not grammatically correct. And I can say this because my first degree was in English. So I actually studied English. My parents paid for me to study English, but I can speak it better than the Queen or the King now that we have because I studied it. So I know, like I can grammar. Now, when people say I can't, I think you can't, or you won't, or you don't want to. So when we're saying this to ourselves, we're carelessly saying, I can't do that. Really? Are you sure? Have you tried? But we don't think that far or that deeply. We just go, I can't. And because you've told yourself you can't, you're not even going to try. Sister Bumi alluded to this at the start. She said, once you can conceive something. So once you can imagine something, it means it's doable because you wouldn't have conceived it if it wasn't achievable. So the moment you've conceived it, it's doable now. The next step is, what are you going to do about it? You've conceived it, it's doable. Otherwise, someone else would have conceived it, you conceived it. So when people say, oh, I've got a question, I know I've got a stupid question, I'm like, no, there's no such thing as a stupid question. If a thought occurs to you, you better just raise it, because it may not have occurred to someone else, and it may be very important for everybody to be aware of it. So if anything drops into your mind, speak it, especially in this day and age where AI is messing up the whole world online anyway. People are busy posting nonsense and rubbish online. Just join them, okay? And let someone call it out, and then you can have a debate about it. So your self-talk absolutely influences your confidence and decision making. You could either self-talk yourself, you could either self-talk into success or self-talk into failure by being negative with the words you speak to yourself. Remember, our words are instructions and commitments, and they're so powerful. And of course, our mind responds to those words. You repeat them consistently. So now you've got an idea of, it could be a business idea, it could be a vision. And the next thing you're supposed to do is to explore it, to find out how you can walk the path and, to achieve it. But instead, you've immediately told yourself, yeah, I can't do it. Or you told someone who told you, oh, you better not waste your time. I can tell you about 10 people that have already tried it and failed. So now that you keep telling yourself that, and then you abandon your vision. And then you turn 60 or 70, and you remember that you had a vision 40 years ago. Can you believe it? That's how we waste our lives. We forget that every moment, honestly, moment. So when we talk about New Year, what do they call them? Resolution. People, no, that's so wrong. It's New Day intention. 24 hours can change a person's life. It can change the trajectory of your life. If you were to do something differently tonight, after this, you'll be surprised by how much progress you can make in less than 24 hours just by getting up and doing, by telling yourself, enough already. So yeah, your mind will respond to it. If you tell yourself, it's not doable, your mind agrees with you. Yeah, it's that phrase that says, if you tell yourself you can, or you tell yourself you can't, you're right? And that negative language will reinforce that limitation and fear. The fear will become so enormous, and you don't even know the origin of it. You don't know the premise of it. You don't know the underpinning of it. You don't even know what you're fearful of, but you just know you've planted that fear, and suddenly it's become a forest. A seed has become a forest in your mind, and you don't even know what it is. You haven't even tried. You haven't opened the bonnet to find out. So our language has to be intentional, because that's how you can create clarity and direction. You have to tell yourself it's doable. So, in short, say less and mean more. Just say less, go quiet, do, like the plant goes, it sends its roots, the seed, it sends its root deep into the soil. And then the next time you're going to hear from that seed is when it begins to germinate and you see the stuff on the surface. So say less, mean more. Now, what are those common power leaks? I'm just going to touch on a couple. Where do we tend to lose our power? One of the very top one I've already alluded to a few times is our language when it's so disempowering. We self-deprecate. We say, well, I'm not good at this. Honestly, I'm not good at this. I'm very bad at this. I'm very bad at this. Really? Okay. So the moment you tell yourself that, especially when you've been telling yourself that you'll settle, you'll agree with yourself, because you're not going to fight yourself. So now you've given up. You're not taking ownership for changing that situation. Remember, we have weaknesses and strengths for sure. But the whole idea of a life that is intentional is a life that takes cognizance and goes, yeah, I struggle with this. So what can I do differently that will empower me to get out of this and take this weakness and convert it into a strength? That's what we should be thinking about. Not, oh, well, I'm weak in that area and that's how it's going to stay. Says who? Says you. So don't look to external forces, look within. And then I'm going to go to the third one, over-explaining. Oh my God, we do that. I don't know what, we all do that. That's human nature. You know, you tell someone something, it could be something you're trying to do, and maybe a goal, maybe something that you've just achieved. And they're like, oh, they don't understand it. Well, they wouldn't, will they? Because it's not their vision. But you now spend time, you want to justify. Why? Because we're looking for their approval. That's it. We over-explain until we become almost paralyzed, right? And then in that moment, we've forgotten, we've given away our agency, we've abdicated that, we've given away our agency. Essentially, we're saying to that other human being that until you understand what I'm trying to communicate to you, I think I've failed. That's what we're saying. That's essentially what we're saying. If I'm spending time explaining to you, never mind that some people have already made up their mind that they're not going to understand anyway. It could be because they don't care. It could be because they've got other things, they're distracted by their own life. It could be because they're envious of your position anyway. But you're going to spend time over-explaining. Why? Because you fear that they're going to judge or reject. And then what? What are you going to do? You're going to throw away your vision because someone doesn't understand it. Well, it's not for them. And then, of course, linked to that is people pleasing, you know, agreeing, because you know what, you don't want to fall out with someone. So you just want to stay in their good books, and you don't want them to resent you. It's kind of like there's a secret society and you must remain a member for life, really. When you were coming, you came on your own. Even a twin, they came out one after the other. I don't think they delivered two at the same time. I don't know, maybe wrong. Science is funny. But even then, they'll have different DNAs anyway. So I rest my case. So now, silence. What's the power of controlled silence in self-mastery? Yeah? Because not every response needs words. Again, as I said, I'm a case study. This one talks to me more than most people, I'm sure. And not every thought needs to be spoken. A friend told me this more than 25 years ago. I still remember it. It doesn't stop me from speaking my thoughts. And then I speak them and I'm like, that wasn't meant to have been spoken, was it? You're not learning your own lesson. So silence gives you emotional space. So if someone, this is not just ordinary silence, like I'm just going to ignore you in a negative way, in a malicious way. That's not that kind of silence. This is controlled silence, silence that is strategic, okay? It allows you space to think clearly so that you can focus your energy. You decide what you respond to and what you don't respond to. You know how to say, pick your battles. You know, someone says something, doesn't agree with you, doesn't agree with your position, totally different. And I'm guilty of this. We could be having a conversation and I'm wired to go with facts, you know, like I live in a fact-based reality personally. But some people, they're like, oh, innuendos, hypotheses and all that. And then when we're going, and then they'll switch the conversation to something totally different. My mind flips and like, what are you talking about? I shouldn't do that. I should just leave them and just realize that actually that's the end of that conversation. Well, no, I waste my time. I want to bring them back because I'm like, you've gone off track. You've shunted. And I want to bring them back. Why do I waste my energy like that? Why? So I'm learning too. So there are some times where it's silent, just go, okay, they've gone down the route. That's what you want to talk about now. We're talking about goats. Now you want to talk about oranges. Okay, yeah, I like oranges as well. You know, because that person's not coming back. They probably didn't have anything to add to that conversation again, and they've given up, they've checked out. Well, you're going to waste your time and energy. So that's where silence gives you that space to think, and it's emotional intelligence as well. It's knowing, this person has checked out for whatever reason. Okay, I get it. No point, because you're not going to win with that person. They've checked out. And silence, again, it allows you to not over-explain yourself. Yeah, it's about practicing mature communication, which I just shared a few moments ago that even at 60, I'm still not mature enough. in that area. So it protects your dignity, because otherwise what you end up with is when you're responding to everything, rather than creating that space to think about this one, should I let this one go or should I not? Should I pick it up? Is there any room here for further discourse? If you're not doing that, you're not applying yourself maturely like that, you could end up in arguments, and it's undignified too. Okay. And then finally, it sharpens the observation, because now, again, I mentioned emotional intelligence, right? It helps you to learn that, okay, so this person, this is how they operate. When they don't have anything to add to the conversation, they just bring up their own topic. So how are you going to deal with them? So now, next time, you're not going to be having deep conversations with this kind of person. So you've learned something, emotional intelligence. Remember, emotional intelligence is about managing your own emotions and someone else's, how you relate with other people as well. Now, how do we shift our language to have impact? How do we reclaim our power? Remember, we can lose power through how we use or misuse our language. Okay, so how do we restore? And that's how you lose agency as well. When you're over explaining and you're busy looking, you're waiting for approval, even though it might be tacit. So how do you restore how do you reclaim your agency? So it's with words again, right? So rather than saying, I can't, I can't, just be mindful, because that's English grammar, right? I can't means you cannot physically do something. Like, I can't, if you say, oh, I can't do, rather than saying, I won't, I don't want to meet with you there, you say, I can't. Of course you can. You can get on the bus, get on a train, get on a plane, get into the car. But it's like, no, I don't want to. Okay? I don't want to. Yeah, that's not my priority. It may be yours, but I'm sorry. Because otherwise, what we're doing is we're pandering to people. And remember, when the time comes for us to leave this world, as a Christian, I believe that I have to give account. I have to give account for every moment of my life. I don't want to get there and then be asked, and I'm like, actually, there were like 20 years of that time where I was busy pandering and waiting for people to give me permission to leave, permission to exit, to do my own stuff. No, you claim your power back through your words. So if you know you can't do something, not that, see, I've used can't again. If you know you don't want to do something, okay, you don't have to explain yourself. You're an adult. That's the beauty of being an adult, right? You just say, I'm sorry, I'm not available. I'm sorry, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm sorry, I've got other things that are of a higher priority or more urgent. And then let them go and sulk. So what? Should you be the one to sulk? Again, the next one is about to the top right quadrant there. Reframing your self-talk. Be careful. So rather than saying, oh, I'm terrible at presenting, I'm not very good at speaking, public speaking, I'm not very good at this or that, just say, I'm learning, yeah, or even the power of yet. So you can say, I'm not good at it yet, because that's intentional. That's saying, I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress, rather than drawing the line, period, full stop. I'm not good at it, period. No. And setting clear boundaries, bottom left quadrant. Set boundaries, okay? Say, I can't do it this week because I physically cannot. But I can next week because I'm coming to that area, Just make sure that your language shifts to a way that allows you to feel empowered. So you don't leave conversations feeling as though you have given away bits of yourself, by giving away your agency. And please, don't justify anything to anybody, because as adults, we don't need to. At work, yeah, if your work requires it. If not, no. Okay? So just say, this is not working for me. Don't go, well, this is not working for me. Why? Just stop yourself. It's not working for me. And that's it. And if the person says, oh, why not? What difference does it make to them anyway? It's not working for you. So it's about the intentionality. Oh, sorry, I've gone one. Yeah. So your language, being in an intentional language, leads to intentional living, ultimately. That leads us to the next loop, the next lever of that loop, our mood. Emotional intelligence still at work here. How we feel? Our emotions influence our behavior. I'm sure that is resonant with all of us here. Some people will say, I was on the train, I think on Wednesday, and the train was delayed, so we were in the tunnel for a bit. Well, the people were just being fidgety and swearing. And I don't like people swearing in my presence. I don't know these people. And then when the guy announced, said, oh, we're going to have to stay for another 10 minutes, we were just outside Stratford, which was my station, Stratford International. And this lady beside me said, for F hours, the way I looked at her, it's like, why? The train is stopped. It's out of the driver's control. You can't do anything anyway. But now you're fouling up the mood and the place. And then one little boy, because it's school holidays apparently, he then said, oh, we could have walked faster than the train. I said, that's right, but we're stuck in the tunnel. What are you going to do about it? But people were now getting fidgety. I was late. I had to quickly, before we entered the tunnel, send messages to cancel my meetings. But it's kind of like, so what? It's out of our control. Just sit here. It's not as though it's a life or death matter. Thankfully, we were all on the train. It's not like we were in a fire or something, and there was air conditioning. Okay, so our emotions are real, yes, but sometimes, mostly they're unreliable. All right, for decision making. If you just rely on your emotions to make all your decisions, oh my goodness, you'll get into lots of trouble. So it's kind of like, take a step back, think about, they will say, don't make decisions or judgments when you're hungry or angry anyway. So don't let your emotions lead you. And finally the last bullet point, how we feel affects, decision making is that it affects our consistency and discipline. It affects our motivation. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, I've got so much to do, but I'm just not feeling it right now. Okay, that's fine. But if you set a deadline for yourself, this is why you put to set SMART goals. That's how you'll get to June. And if you had a plan to finish something by June, but you've already finished it in May, or you have a plan to finish something by June 2026, and you haven't even started it, and we're on the 29th at the end of May. So it's about owning and being able to control that mood and put it to your advantage. Don't let it control you. Yeah, like a runaway train. And so why does it matter? Why does it matter? Why does how we manage our mood matter? Because it influences our energy. I already alluded to that. It influences our reactions, our responses. Sometimes rather than responding, we react. And the difference in that could be the difference between, it's about, maybe you want to create space. Someone says something and you should give yourself space. Remember, intentional, controlled silence, so that you can respond rather than react. Because now you react, they said something that triggered you. You didn't allow yourself the space to think it through, and they'll say count to 10 or something before you respond. Then you're in control of your response rather than just spitting it out, which we do by default naturally. And then you say that thing, now you're feeling bad. Yeah, now you're feeling bad that you reciprocated their nastiness with you met energy with energy. But now you're feeling bad because you're probably not that way wired. Some people wouldn't feel bad because they're that way. If you're not wired like that, you'll now be beating yourself up that, why did I react like that? I should have just kept quiet. Okay, so again, it's why our mood really matters. And of course, when our mood is low, that's how powerful it is. Some people, their action drops, especially in this heat in the UK. I don't know, heat sucks energy. So some people will become so lethargic because it's hot. And that's your physical, the physical impact of it begins then to seep into your mood. And then you get stressed, and then you react rather than respond, and then you get frustrated, and you're now not disciplined. The things you would normally not do, you start to do. See why our mood really matters? So we should not allow our emotions to control every decision. They're just not good decision makers. Emotions aren't, right? And now there are some ways that we lose our power through our mood. Okay, so for example, we don't feel motivated, right? We know what to do, we know when to do it, we know with whom to collaborate to do it to achieve that goal. But it's like, I'm not in the mood. So now you give up on yourself. You give up on your vision, on your dream, because your mood, you've allowed your mood to take control. What about anger? And you have so much anger or frustration. What about avoidance? There are conversations that you need to have, but they're so difficult. And I wonder why. We think they're so difficult because if I have that conversation with that person, I don't think I'm gonna enjoy the consequence, that the outcome. So I'll avoid it. Whereas it's really affecting you, you're beating yourself up. You need to have it so that you can free yourself, you can liberate yourself, right? Where you're supposed to be self-accounting. You don't bother, you don't check on, you're eating whatever food you like, whenever you like, and then you're wondering why your cholesterol is going up, or whether you're beginning to feel physiologically unsound, because again, you've abandoned yourself, you've avoided doing, you've allowed your mood to trip you up, okay, to sabotage you. So some people will be like, I'll only do it when I'm motivated. Okay, that's fine. But you know what? 2026 is not waiting for anybody. So if on the 1st of January, you set out to do something, on the 29th of November last year, you wanted to do something and have achieved it by June, and you haven't started to do anything because your mood just you haven't feel motivated enough. You're waiting to be self-motivated or be more externally motivated. That's okay. Time's not waiting for you. Okay, so those are the different ways, some of the different ways where we lose our power when it comes to allowing our mood to lead us. So how do we flip that and be more self-leading, self-directing? So we don't control our emotions. We actually hone that power and leverage it positively. So the power of the pause, which is similar to the silence. So you pause before you respond, so that rather than reacting, you're responding. When you've got a habit that actually is not leading you to the right end, you now know it, you've traced it, you're like, that habit is not good. You need to, it's become, you've been acting on, living on autopilot in that facet of your life. This is the time to now stop yourself and say, okay, you know what? I need to be a leader of myself. You could be a leader at work, a leader in your business, but as Leonardo da Vinci reminded us in his quote, you need to be leading yourself more effectively. So you might need to stop that autopilot thinking, those patterns that haven't been working out for you. This is the time to identify them, know what the triggers are, and know how to manage them better, and even flip them to positivity by doing, leveraging them. How you respond, if you're responding, make sure that you're intentional with your response. That, like, every day of the week, twice on Sunday, that's always going to be your response. That's you being true to yourself. That's you not abandoning your values. That's who you're always going to be. They might wake you up at 2 a.m. That's how you're going to respond. That's being intentional. Yeah, that's how you're going to show up. That's the restraint that you have. That's the power of your restraint. And I'm going to go to the last bullet point there again. So data again. How are you using your data to self-direct more effectively? When, again, it's about your self-talk, right? And this is now your mood. So you need to be able to separate your feelings from facts, okay? So if your mood makes you feel tired, try and figure out, or rather, let me rephrase that. If you're feeling tired, try and figure out whether it's your mood that's telling you fibs, or whether it's actually something physiological or mental that's making you feel tired. Whether it's because you're carrying a weight, an emotional weight that you need to deal with. Try and determine what it is. What's the fact? So because you might be feeling some anxiety in your spirit, some restlessness in your spirit, you need to figure out what could be the underpinning for that. Is it because maybe there's a conversation you should have had like a long time ago, but you're too fearful of the consequences or the outcome rather, that you haven't had it, and that's why you're feeling agitated and anxious, and now suddenly you can't concentrate, okay? Or maybe it's telling you maybe you shouldn't do it, or maybe you shouldn't do it yet, but you need to be intentional enough to know exactly what that data is telling you. Don't be flippant about it. Don't be, because if you're not conscious enough, you will just lose. You will lose out one way or another, because you may not take the decision or the right decision at the right time. We may take the right decision but at the wrong time. Okay, so just look for those areas, and where your mood might be telling you something different from what reality really is. And now, how do we lead intentionally our mood? Rather, like own it, control it, so that you're the one in the driving seat. Okay? Regulate your environment, because sometimes your mood could just be coming from work or from wherever, and the whole house is untidy. Well, did you leave the house like that? Maybe you did. When we're growing up, and I'm still sure the phrase is still being used in homes, how you lay your bed is how you will lie on it. It's very true. Because unless you have someone coming in after you to clean up, if you left your kitchen messy and you come in and your train has been delayed by 2 hours and you're hungry and you didn't leave any food out to be in the fridge to be defrosted, or you don't like to use the microwave, all sorts of things. Now you're in an even more foul mood because you did not prepare in advance. So regulate your environment. Look at, your mindset, of course, helps with this. Look at your environment. What is influencing your emotions? Because sometimes the state of the home or the decor, you may just be sick and tired of it. You want to change. Maybe you want to change and you can't afford to change, but that's fine. But maybe you can't change it and you're just too lazy. Maybe you just need to tidy up and you've just been too lazy. Fine. Just be ready to own the consequences of that lack of action. So if there's anything that's overstimulating in your environment, try and sort it out, because that could also affect your emotions and then remember the loop. Okay, so I've mentioned about separating feelings from facts. If you have if you've made any assumptions, make sure that you validated them. Don't make decisions based on assumptions that you haven't validated. You don't even know the premise for this. You're just going to run with it. You're going to have yourself to blame. Make sure it doesn't matter what the consequences, as long as you are intentional in getting there. You've got all your I's dotted, your T's crossed. You know exactly what you're letting yourself in for. When you get there and you see the consequence, if it's something you like, you've probably anticipated it, if you planned it well, or you've thought it through well, rather. Okay? So just make sure that you're not allowing your emotions to be mangled up with facts. Okay? And I'll just take the one bottom quadrant on the right. Take one intentional action. Okay? If there's something you want to do, don't wait until you feel ready. And actually, most of us, I think we tend to wait until the world tells us we're ready. I don't. I just do. I have agency. I'm using it more as I get older. I don't care. I don't have parents that tell me what to do. I'm the master of me. I tell myself what to do, and whatever I see there, I face the consequences. I dust myself up and and go. Like yesterday, I was walking so fast, I wasn't looking at the ground. I fell. My sister was on the phone. She was like, you should go back home. I keep forgetting that I'm actually a senior citizen. So I fell. I got myself up on concrete. My knee was grazed. She said, you're still going to go to work? I said, of course I'm still going to go to work. She said, you're not going to go home to go and check? I said, no, I'll be fine. I'm going to limp all the way. I was going to walk 20 minutes to the station. I'm going to do it. It was my fault. I wasn't looking properly. Okay, I could sit there and wait for the ambulance to come and get me. I'm a senior citizen. I think I've broken a bone. I could spend the whole day there, but no, I chose the action and I faced the consequences and I own them. So don't wait till you feel ready before moving forward. I could have taken permission from my sister to go back home and then work from home. Nobody would stop me. But no, I told myself to keep going because I had to face the consequences of my action or lack of common sense. Okay? So we don't need to feel ready. We need to take ownership of our moods. And that leads me to the third the lever of money. Another powerful one. Of course, our mood affects our money, how we manage our money, money habits, money talks even, right? They reflect our money script, reflect our behavior, and they also influence our actions. Oh, sorry, I think there's interference. Is that from me? Okay. So money is not always about numbers, okay? Because when we're talking about money, we're thinking about how we're spending it, whether there is enough of it. But sometimes it's our mood, our mouth, our mind that influences how we spend money. It's not always about numbers. It's not always about numbers. Because if we're emotionally sound, right, and we understand the power that our money is only a tool. Okay, that's why in the Bible, it tells us that the love of money is what is evil, is the root of all evil, rather. It's not money itself, it's the love of it. So if we have sound understanding that money is only a tool, right? We won't be crying ourselves to sleep over riches. I say, oh, I want to become a millionaire. So when people say that around me, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Oh, I want to become rich. Okay, what does that mean? Have you quantified that vision? So we need to be more mindful about what we say, what our money script is, decisions we're making, that we're not being influenced by our mood or our mind or our mouth. Okay? So it influences our future stability. Because you see, money may not solve every problem. It won't. But my goodness, when we poorly manage our money, it can create a lot of problems. Absolutely. And of course, we leak our power through our daily habit around money. How do we avoid paying our bills on time? When that envelope in the UK, we call them brown envelopes usually. I think they come in white envelopes now. When the bills come in through the door, most of us don't get bills because they're all electronic now. You don't want to open an envelope, a brown envelope, because it's bad. People say, oh, because it's bad news. See, we've associated that color envelope to bad news. So we avoid it. You don't open the bill on time. By the time you open the bill, it's too late. Now you're paying interest. So you've lost out. And when we're spending emotionally, because I'm in a bad mood, I'm now going to go on Amazon. I'm going to get some relief, some instant gratification. And then you buy on your credit card, or you spend your savings that money you were saving for something else. Doesn't help. And then, of course, we're thinking about instant gratification. I just want to feel good today. That's fine. But tomorrow may come. Tomorrow may never come, but tomorrow may come. And when tomorrow comes, you better be sure that you've lived a balanced life to get to that point. So that's how we might be losing power, through how we manage or mismanage our money. So how we manage it influences our self-mastery, of course, when we're making money decisions under duress, under pressure, when our money habits inconsistent with our character, with our values, rather, then there's a problem that we need to look into, when we're prioritizing short-term comfort over long-term peace. Okay? That's how we're losing. Oh. There's some interference. I think we need to mute. Okay, thank you. So awareness and intentionality is how we can master ourselves through how we spend our money, through our finances. When you know your habits, when you understand your money habits, and you gain control over them, you gain clarity, you know when you want to spend, you know how much you want to spend, your budgeting, then that will help you, right? And finally, how we can shift to leverage money intentionally so that we can lead it rather than having money lead us. So review your finances. Always know how much, what your outgoings are each month. Have pots of money. Prepare how you're going to spend your money well in advance of the money coming in, so that when the money comes in, you're not overwhelmed. You already have a plan of action. Separate emotions from your spending, okay? Separate your feelings from your financial dealings, if you like. Think things through. Don't just think in the moment. Don't just live in the moment financially. Always think and try to prioritize your spending. Always prioritize your spending. Always plan your spending, which is where budgeting comes in and is very helpful. You can live the life you desire, deserve, have earned, if only you will master how you spend your finances, I should say. So financial self-mastery is not about perfection. It's just about being consistent in how you are intentionally managing your finances. Okay? And that leads us to the final lever of the powerful loop, our mind. So our thoughts, oh, sorry, hold on. Yes. So I think I touched your mind already. So our mind is our greatest tool, if we use it that way. Or it could actually be our greatest source of limitation. It could be the greatest source of limitation. Because if our mind tells us no, when facts tell you yes, you need to be questioning your mind to make sure that you can balance the two, because that will influence the quality of our life. And why does it matter? Because it influences everything we do. So we can let it be a tool for good, a force for good, even a powerful tool as it is, or we can let it limit us. It's our choice. So when we limit, when we are overthinking, we overthink into paralysis. You want to do something, you keep waiting and waiting. I don't know what we're waiting for, usually maybe for other people's permission, who knows? But we're waiting for the right time in the market, the right time in the family, the right time, whatever. We're waiting when you actually have a plan of action. Just get up and do it, because tomorrow is not promised. The next moment is not promised to anybody. People have given up while talking. Like they're in the middle of a conversation and then they just stop. And the person they're talking to nudges them and they realize that they've gone, they're dead. Okay, so the next moment is not promised. So we should stop overthinking, in our minds, letting our mind run riot. Okay, and I've mentioned paralysis, when we're so fearful of failing. Whereas Jeff Bezos, Amazon guy, one of his tenets is fail fast. Just you think of options, so start with one, do it. It doesn't work, pivot to the next. Fail fast. Just get up and do something. And if you're working with someone and you don't agree, pick one option. Okay, there are three of us. Okay, let's try your own idea first. And then we can disagree and commit. Let's just disagree and commit. We do one first, we fail first, we come back and pick the other one and keep going until we hit the right one. Okay, so those are the different ways we can leak power. And then there's a mental noise and the mental truth. So sometimes our thoughts, of course, are influenced by our emotion and our perception. Our thinking might be distorted. We've got past experiences that have given us data that may no longer be true. That data may have been true 10 years ago. Now it's redundant. Now it's been superseded. So we should be careful with our thinking, because sometimes stress could actually nudge us in the wrong direction. Okay? And that mental noise, if we allow it just beclouds your judgment. There's no clarity, everything is jumbled up in your mind. It's just chaos in there. You need to slow yourself down, steady your thoughts, question your thoughts, challenge them, challenge yourself. Okay? With your self-talk, challenge yourself. When your mind goes or almost goes, I can't, stop yourself mid-sentence. Why not? Why not? Why not? You ask yourself why. You keep going until you get to the root of that thinking that is not allowing that. It could be self-sabotaging. So how do you lead your mind more intentionally? Check your thoughts. Be very observant of the thoughts that run through your mind. We have some wicked, nasty thoughts sometimes, even towards our own self, never mind someone else. Yeah, we don't know they're nasty, but oh my goodness, they can. And that's how we can self-sabotage quite easily. So, and I mentioned this at the start, when something is out of your control, see, the tax rate in this country is terrible. We know it. Okay? Focus on what is within your sphere of influence, what you can control, low-hanging fruit and all that. If something is out of your control, let it go. Okay? Don't beat yourself up. Because if you're not careful, you will beat yourself into paralysis, then you'll be useless to yourself. Because you can't control it. Why are you crying over it? Like spilled milk is gone. You can't even scoop it up, right? If you have any if you have any negative patterns that you keep, the thoughts that have been self-limiting you, start to challenge them. Remember what I said at the start. As I'm talking now, I'm hoping that you've identified one change that you can make. Okay, and finally, another mental shift you can try. If your mind tells you you're not ready, move. Just move. So what? No one's gonna beat you up. So what? So people might laugh at you. So what? See, that's another thing that we will allow to influence us or stop us in our tracks. We worry about what people might say or might not say. So what? Move. If you don't feel 100% ready, you've got a plan, move. Fail fast, return, and regroup. Okay? So your mind becomes more powerful when you stop letting every thought lead you. And on that note, I'm going to open up to, I'm going to allow us maybe 10 minutes initially, and then we'll come back. I'm just going to ask these questions. You don't need to respond. They're for self-reflection as well as group reflection, however you prefer, but you can respond in the chat if you would like to, okay? If you have any real life scenarios, any anecdotes, please do share. So which of the 4 M's feels strongest in your life? Like where are you already leading your life intentionally? Self-awareness, yourself managing, yourself directing positively, effectively, efficiently. Which M is strongest for you? Is it your mood? Or is it your mouth? Is it your mood? Is it your money? Is it your mind? And then the next one is so you've identified the one which feels strongest. Which do you think needs the most attention? So the opposite end of the spectrum now. So where have you noticed greatest inconsistency? Or where do you think you may have been self-sabotaging? Please do share in the chat, Sister Bumi. If there's anything there, let me know. So that's the second one. And where do you think you're currently leaking the most energy? Is it in your habits? Do you have habits that are self-sabotaging? Do you have a habit of people pleasing? Like you're waiting for someone's permission? Or where OPO, I call it OPO, other people's opinion, is what's directing your life, your decisions? What small shift can you make, like now, in this moment? Remember, the next moment is not promised to us. Where you think you'll make the biggest positive impact in your own life? Where do you think maybe your speech, your self-talk, or your money, how you're managing it? Where do you think you can, or your mind, how you're managing your mind or not, or your mood? Where do you think that will make, shifting that slightly even will make the biggest impact? So if we could do that for a few minutes, I would say maybe 5 minutes. If anyone, Sister Bumi, let me know if anybody wants to, and if anybody wants to respond, please do so. I've got a couple more, one more slide just to round up after that.
If anyone wants to share,
please
feel free to just put your reaction button. And as she was talking, I've already identified my lists. I didn't even know that was going to be a question.
Okay, do you want to share?
Okay, so someone says my mind. When you say your mind, is that the least or is that the greatest?
Yes.
Okay, I've got someone. I've asked you to unmute, please. Thank you. Yes, go on.
Well, is that me? Yeah.
Grace? Yes, Grace.
Eminio.
Oh, yes, please. Auntie Grace.
So, hello, well done. Fantastic nugget in there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's how one can live intentionally. I just have some few points that I'm as well. And one of the things is that past odds create future fear. past hurt. So whatever you're in, all things has to do with the mind, and the mind and the brain, they work together. So what I want to say is that the brain is very neuroplastic. There is a kind of neuroplasticity when it comes to the brain, and the tracks what is familiar. So what is familiar in your life if there are negative sick health? The brain attracts what is familiar. So you, so what and those familiarity can keep you stuck. They can be patterns that is making you feel stuck, and then you know how to be transformed. And what you avoid, you stay stuck. But what you face, you'll be transformed by what you face. So sometimes our thoughts are part of what we are becoming. So we have to be really mindful. So thank you so much for those nuggets. God bless you. That's just
thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Our thought is the most, I would say, is the most, I wouldn't say the highest contributor to who we're becoming, but it's a very high contributor to who we're becoming. You're right, sis. Thank you. Any more?
Anybody else?
Let me put that back on the screen. Okay, well, just have a think, okay? Because I'm now going to land the plane by giving us a 6-step path to self-mastery. So can you, I'm sharing again, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. Okay, so how do we move from autopilot? So step number 1, how do we move from autopilot to observation? By being more self-aware, okay? So try to spend time, honestly, have a date, make a date with yourself, or have a date with yourself, I should say, not make, remember language, have a date with yourself. Put the date, time in the diary, go sit somewhere. It could be in your closet, it could be in your home, it could be somewhere, wherever. Just go have a date with yourself, with your notepad, and try and identify what are the things that are shaping you. You know, our sister just alluded to the concept of becoming, like who we're becoming. And I also have a litmus test that I apply when I'm struggling with making a decision. I ask myself, if the whole world were blind, as in they can't see you, Tokwe, how would you show up today? So that's being self-aware. Recognize what is shaping you. Because if you don't sit down to think about it, that's how January rolls into December of every year, and then our age, and they say, "Oh, you, it's my birthday. I'm 1 year old older today." Well, actually, you're 1 year closer to the end. Pretty much is what it is. We look at it the other way. It's actually as you're getting older, you're getting closer to the end. Okay, so be more self-aware. Recognize what's shaping you. And then the next step, once you've identified that, you're now being more observant rather than operating on autopilot. Think about, where you've been given making excuses. Okay, take responsibility for your actions. Take ownership for your actions.
Auntie Grace.
Take ownership for your responses, your direction. Don't blame anybody, because remember, if you've designed a life for yourself and you know the plan to get you to the place where you can truly live that life, then anything you come across on the way, suck it up, own it, do something with it, because it's data. Remember what I shared earlier, organizations thrive on how they use their data or not, okay? So especially in this age that we're now in, data is very powerful, how you use and leverage it. So take ownership, be more responsible, forget about excuses. You can't blame anybody for for who you're becoming or how you live your life, because ultimately, as an adult, you have agency on the decisions you're making, the actions you're taking. Step number 3, on that path to self-mastery, turn your reactions into intentional responses. So regulate. This is where self-regulation comes in. So if there are places where you will just remember now, you might be watching a movie on YouTube or wherever on social media. They begin to bombard. You might even be news. You might be on CNN or BBC or whatever. They begin. You click on something. They now know your pattern. They know your search pattern. They know what you desire or what you might be looking for. Maybe it's holidays, like me, right? And they're throwing you all manner of ideas in that area. If you're not self-regulating, you're going to fall for it. You're going to end up buying something you didn't intend to buy. You didn't even know you wanted it, but now they're making you feel like you need it. Okay? Like your life depends on it because that's the in thing. You know, that's what everyone's wearing. So don't be intentional about how you respond to things, whether to your own emotions or whether to external forces as well, or external data even. So learn to lead yourself emotionally. And the next one, step 4, turn inconsistency into congruence. You have a plan for your life. You should be looking to live life optimally. Like me, I live full so that I can die empty. If I die tonight, or if I have a warning to say, oh, you're gonna die in 1 hour, I'm gonna be like, I've lived everything I wanted to do, I've done. I don't care. I'm good to go. I'm not fearful of death because I'm living full every day. I'm not living everything till I retire. Okay? So don't be inconsistent in how you live your life. Live congruently. Okay? Live in congruence with your act, with your vision. Live life in congruence with your values. Live it in congruence with that plan, that life that you have designed for yourself. Live in alignment. And how do you do that? You make sure that all the decisions you're making, the things, you know, that you're putting things in place. And that's why it's good to design that life for yourself. Because once you have a design, implementing it becomes easier because you've got a blueprint. Okay? And God gives us, I'm a Christian, so I can say that. I believe that God gives me the blueprint, but he also gives me the will to take the steps, you know, faith and works. I call it my faith and works mindset. So ensure that the way you're living your life, your habits, your behavior, they're incongruent with that life that you've designed, that you desire, that you aspire to. Number 5, occasional effort. Don't just make your effort occasional. Don't stop there. Turn them into habits. Like if there's a book you want to read, set a goal, a SMART goal, a goal that is measurable and specific, that I want to read this by this. I want to take this course. This course is a 12-week course. I'm going to start on the 1st of June. The course ends in September, at the end of August. It's a 3-month course. And after that, I'm going to start job hunting a week before. I'm going to prepare my CV a month before. Have a plan. And the habits you now need is to make sure that you're doing something every day. You know, small, consistent steps. Keep taking them because that repetition is what helps you, keeps you in alignment and keeps you moving towards your goal. And that's how you attain your goal. Your goal is not going to come to you. You're going to have to move towards it. And then finally, you don't want to barely survive. You want to live optimally. You want to live limitlessly. You want to live life intentionally. You want to live life mindfully. You want to live life abundantly. You want to squeeze out of life. You know, I believe that every day that I'm blessed with is packed full of benefits. And my Bible tells me so, right? So I'm looking for how I'm going to squeeze all those benefits out so that not a single one eludes me. And that's why every month I want to remind myself and everybody I love that it's another month. Knock, knock. It's another month. Okay? So be ready to squeeze this month, whether it's 30 days or 31 or 28 or 29. Be ready. And how are you ready? You are intentionally waiting. You don't want to just barely survive. No. You want to thrive. And you want to be intentional, and you want to be leading yourself, because that's how you can live an expansive life, an abundant life, a life that overflows into the lives of others. Because believe it or not, every one of us has a destiny that is tied, that other people's are tied to. Okay? So if you're not moving, you're causing a blockade, like they're having in Iran. If you're not moving, you're causing a blockade in someone else's life. Just think about it like that. Okay? And that's the last step in that journey. So are you ready to take that next step? There you are. So if you want to get in touch, those are my details. You're going to take a screen grab. And thank you for joining. I'm working through a coaching mini series. The first book in the series is free. You can scan the code there to download a copy. And I'm also going to share a couple of links in the chat now. I took permission from our host. I think I copied them. Right, the first one, I've got a conference, Mindset Makeover Conference. It's an annual conference. It's coming up. It's virtual this year. It's coming up next Saturday, the 6th, not tomorrow, the following one, the 6th of June at 2. So there's the link to register so that you can receive the joining link on the day. And then the second one is for ladies. It's a new program that I'm designing. I'm in the process of designing, where we can come together and share our stories, because iron really does sharpen iron. We've got a lot of lived experiences that we can share with one another, so that what has caused me pain doesn't have to cause you pain, because I can share my learnings with you. So please do click on those links, and yeah, it will be good to have you join us. Any more? Over to you. If there are any more comments, sis, let me know.
Thank you so much. Please, we use our reaction button just to say thank you. I think we have somebody already putting up her hand for a question. If we can use our reaction button, thank you so much, because you have given us, I was just writing things down. You've given us a holistic approach to self-development, and that's what I'll call it, to improving how we speak, how we feel, how we think, and how we actually manage resources so that we can live more intentionally and we can also live successfully. And that is so key. That is so important. And I just want us to know, women, that, you know, coming in month after month, personally, I know that I am the host, but I can tell you how much Pass the Baton has influenced me, how it has been a blessing to me. And I want to really encourage us that we're not just coming in month after month, that you actually take in all of these topics, listen to them, actually write down how to, you know, move intentionally with your life. And I want to tell you that if you actually do that, you will definitely see a lot of improvement in your life. Because, you know, we're coming together and we're sharing so many thoughts, we're sharing so many questions. And if you use it, it's going to benefit you a lot. A lot of people pay for these things. When I'm at work, I know how much they bring in coaches and speakers. And half of the things they talk about, I already know. Half of the things they talk about, we have already discussed. And so I just want to encourage us that we're not just coming in month after month, but we're actually doing these things, and you will see a shift in your life. Trust me, a shift in your finance, a shift in the way you do things. I remember coming here years ago. I've got budgets going back to 2019 of the things that I bought. You know, I've got everything. And where did I learn it? I learned it here. So please, I'm encouraging us that we also continue to do and put in the work, and you would see the results. So the first question, if you stop sharing, start up, please.
Okay.
The first question is, let me also add myself to Spotlight, or if someone can add me quickly. Thank you. The first question is, how often do I need to try what's not working? Because since we all know it's not good to give up.
Okay. So that's a good question. And what it brings to mind is this thing about, you know, having a goal, and you're so focused on attaining the goal, you forget to continually evaluate that goal. Is it still valid? Data. So the first thing you need to do is the goal you're working towards. Yeah. Is it still valid? Check. Yes, it's still valid. Oh no, let me do the no part first. No, it's no longer valid actually. So you abandon it and you pivot. Yes, it's still valid. If you take that path, how do you, what are you doing? Okay, so you've got a set of actions and you're taking them and they're not yielding the fruit you're expecting. Maybe you need to, again, data. You need to go back and reassess what is missing. You know, it's kind of like maybe you're cooking, you're looking to cook a particular, you've got the recipe, you're looking to cook a particular dish, and it's not quite tasting how it's expected. Maybe you need to go look, explore some other ingredients that you need to add. So it's time for you to sit down and think, remember, if you say it's not working, make sure it's you identifying factually that it's not working, not that someone's projecting or you're comparing it with someone's notes or opinions. Make sure you've set the boundaries and it's absolutely not working. You've got a template that you're checking it off against and it's not aligning. Then you need to go back and do some exploration. You don't give up. So always evaluate your goals. Don't be so rigid. Don't set goals that are so rigid that they're not flexible enough for you to. You'll be like, oh, you're going to continue doggedly, and then you get to the end and it was a waste of time. So that's the first one. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Second question: how do you maintain control on my mind and mood in a country like Nigeria?
Yeah, boundaries. You saw boundaries. It's like in every part of the world, really, because there's issues everywhere in the world, issues in our lives and different facets of our lives. So you just set boundaries. It's basically a matter of what have you got control over? What have you got control over? You have no control. You're not the political leader. You're not, if it's a church, you're not the church, the religious leader. If you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, you're the leader in your own home. That's the territory, the domain over which you have control. So control your mind. Don't let your mind, like whatever it is, don't ingest so much negativity that it begins to affect you. Have perspective and maintain perspective. Yeah, that's why it's good to be factual. And in this day where there's a lot of miscommunication, disinformation, misinformation and all that, source your news from multiple sources. If the news is bad, you didn't cause that problem. You can't fix that problem. This is where you determine whether you have control. So what are you going to do about it? You're going to walk past and you're going to focus on your own life because that's where you've got your domain over which you have control. Yeah, that's how you manage your mind and your mood. Because why should the news change your mood? Why? It's not happening inside your house. So let's first say that, and I hope you're talking about the country rather than what's happening, because what's happening within your home, you have control over. Change it. What's happening outside of your home, you have no control over. So you just deal with it. You suck it up. You set boundaries, and you let those boundaries also, you set them within your mind. You have no control over it. You're sorry for them. You commiserate, and then you move on. Hopefully.
Third question: please differentiate between something being out of my control and something not working. And I think you kind of mentioned it, especially when I find myself in an environment where I have less opportunities.
Again, you have no control over it. So for example, here in the UK, I'm paying 50% of my earnings in taxes. Very annoying. I have no control over it. I can cry all I like. Yeah. And that's the environment in which I live. The environment in which you live may have fewer opportunities in other areas. You have no control over it. That's just life. I know it's tough. Yeah, that's just life. Honestly, there's a saying in where I come from, Yoruba, and they say that Bafalon is semi. Once you accept something that you have no control over, just pray for the peace to be able to live your life regardless of that thing, because you have no control over it. If you have control over it, move. You're not a tree. If you can move, move. If you can't move, you have no control over it. I can't say that enough. I'm sorry. It sounds sharp, but what am I supposed to do? I'm not supposed to carry the emotional wound, and then it begins to seep into other areas of my life, and I feel like my life is all this, that. No, I have a good life. It just so happens that I have few opportunities, but where I am, I'm going to make the best of the opportunities I have. I'm going to live an expansive life with what I have. I'm going to live below my means so I can live abundantly regardless. That's going to be my self-talk. Hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Any question or any contribution? Or what have you taken tonight that you'll be looking to maybe think about, especially with the self-mastery?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she has told us to identify where the least one for you is and where the highest one for you is. Anybody? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I can get somebody trying to talk. I'm not sure.
Yes, I want to talk. My name is Shola.
Yes, please go on.
Thank you very much for this. I don't know, loads of words for me. Amazing, very inspired for this talk. Thank you very much. I think for me, I think I've got so much in my heart now. I feel excited that I'm going to really start working on my mind, especially in relation to my self-talk to myself. I do that a lot. Self-talk. I'll say something and I'll reply myself, and then I work it out just by having this one-way dialogue thing with myself. So I think I've promised myself that I'm going to intentionally begin to work on my mind, in bracket my self-talk, which ultimately affects my mood. So I need to begin to work on that. So, and I think, because I know working on those two for me is going to transpire into every other aspect of my life. I'm so sure of that. I think when I start doing that, it's going to cut off any limitations I've created for myself. It will do that. It will probably make me more self-aware of everything about me. So amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. It's so our mind, oh God, it's so powerful. Yeah. Thank you. Well done. That's good. Good to know.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else? It's 9 o'clock, but we still, if you have anything, maybe you have a question or you just have a contribution that you want to share. Okay. I think I'm going to say that we have come to the end of tonight's Pass the Baton. And I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight, for sharing the link. And like Sister Tope said, she has a Zoom mindset makeover mission that is coming up. I will be sharing that as well. I cannot encourage us enough, to intentionally look at our patterns, look at, your mind. Your mind is such a powerful place. Look at your mind. And she has shared with us 4 self. And she spoke about, it's not about perfection, but it's about understanding who you are. I mean, recently I was telling my sister that I noticed, and for me, I think now I'm going to say the least is the mood. I noticed how I've kind of become very irritable recently, and it's not me. And it's something that I just started to notice. And I'm like, okay, why am I becoming very irritable? But obviously, we also know the perimenopausal and all of that. And I've started to read more about it. But it's something that I want to intentionally look into, that why am I becoming irritable? So it's important that we know where we are. It's important that we know who we are, so that when those things start to happen, you can understand that this is not me and begin to kind of work on yourself. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I just want to be sure that you have shared your link. Yes, you have. So thank you. I'm going to share the link out, and I pray that whatever, the areas of the 4M, that we're dealing with, whether it's our mouth, whether it's our mind, whether it's our mood, or whether it is money, whatever the 4 areas are, they are very important. And I pray that as you start to look into it, because as a Christian, I can tell you, every one of them is very important to you as a child of God, whether it's your mouth that you're using, whether it's your mind, that you can conceive all things, whether it's your mouth, whether it's your mind, whether it's money, and whether it's your mood, everything. God wants to help us, and he can help us if we allow him. So, but let's be intentional. Let's think into our lives. Let's look inside and begin to identify where we need help and begin to ask him for help. And I believe, someone's just coming in, and I believe that he can help us if we allow him, especially the Holy Spirit is there to help you. And all you need to do is open your mouth to ask him to come into your mind and help you, because whatever it gives you, whether it's an idea, whether it's through your career, whatever it is, it will transform into money, which will then, like she said, money does not mean that you have everything, but you know what? Whatever you have, you leverage on it, and that will kind of uplift your mood. So whatever it is, whether number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4, is actually coming together to make you a whole person. So tonight, I appreciate you. I want to say thank you. And until we'll see you again next month, please do not forget that July the 11th, There is a fiscal PTB happening at the Thorough Hotel. We would love to have you. A few people have registered. I want to encourage you to please register. We'll be looking at support systems. And I think it's a very important topic for us, especially as women. We cannot do life alone. It's important. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be, wherever you want to go, you cannot do life alone. You're not an island. We need each other. So thank you so much. Have a very good night rest.
Thank you.
Thank you to my speaker.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.